Hello, this is Josh Beech, and I just wanted to let you know that on the 20th of November, I'll be running a half marathon in Nashville, Tennessee, USA, on behalf of the wonderful MCT, the Millwall Community Trust, who do some incredible things for our South London community and beyond. If you'd like to sponsor me, you can head to my Instagram page, which is /Josh Beech, BEECH, like the tree, and click the Just Giving link in my bio. If you can chuck me a couple of quid or whatever you can spare, it would be much appreciated. Let's raise some money for the Millwall Community Trust. Come on, you Lions.
Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
Welcome back to the 2021 to 2022 series of Millwall No One Likes Us Talking's Our Millwall fan show, in the 12th show in our new freedom post-lockdown. I'm your host, Johnny Burrow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Dave Hart and Ted Robinson.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Well, it was doom and gloom after the defeat by Luton at the Den on Saturday. Big calls for Rowett out with his first defeat in 8, and despite a stirring win at Sheffield United on Tuesday, the fans are still baying for his dismissal. Folks, what do we reckon?
Go, Ted.
I thought I'd let you go first, Pat, on that one. Listen, let's get it all into perspective. The Luton game was a poor performance. There was no doubt about it. Luton deserve a bit of credit. They was a decent side. They took their chances when they came along. But we never ever got going, and it wasn't a great performance. Then the Sheffield United performance, far more like Millwall that we've come to expect under Rowett anyway. And that. But the business about getting rid of Rowett, I don't get it. If somebody had said to me after 13 games that Millwall would be 3 points off the playoffs, I'd have said, thank you very much, I'll take that. It's not been the prettiest football under Gary Rowett. We can all see that. Nobody needs to be told about that. But to a certain extent, it's been effective. I just think if we can just get that final bit of the pitch to click with our forward line, we will be there or thereabouts come the end of the season in the playoff positions. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, Gary Rowett, but as far as I'm concerned, he ain't doing too bad a job. Over to you, Pat.
Well, it didn't go well, did it, the Luton game? It was shocking. Massive disappointment in the whole team. No intensity, no passion, no drive. Millwall's supposed to have a £4 million bigger budget than Luton. Their forwards come from the Conference League, didn't they? And a free. I mean, they were just a different class to us. Our substitutions were dire. Rowett doing like for like. He disappeared for the last 10 minutes because he was getting so much abuse. I haven't heard booing like that since Holloway was in charge. Anyway, going on to Tuesday night, completely different team there. I mean, there was 3 different from the lineup from the previous Saturday, but the whole team was played differently. It's a massive to get 3 points there. But we did have the referee on our side the whole game, and we did only play against 10 men the second half. So for all our praise of them, you've got to consider that. Can
I just come in there, Pat, about the referee? I don't think he was on our side. I think he got things right. I generally do. The guy deserved to get sent off because he dived.
Yeah,
personally,
I agree with that.
It was a second yellow, but when they dive in the box like that, for me, they should be getting a red card. Because it was quite blatant that Malone didn't get anywhere near him, and he threw himself up in the air looking to con the referee. So the fact that he went off was fine. Now, the other one they were screaming and hollering about, Saville, right, I get why Sheffield United fans were screaming about it, but if you look at that, Saville actually makes a movement with his body to try and get out of the way of the bloke, and the bloke cuts across him. He doesn't stick his leg out to trip him up. It's more of a coming together. So again, I think that would have been harsh if Savile, had got a booking for it. So, listen, we have many occasions when the referee's not on our side. So,
well, we know, but I think if you
I'm not going to knock him
Sheffield
for being on our
United
side
fan,
this time.
I think if you spoke to a Sheffield United fan, you'd find that they believed that the referee was far in favour of Millwall.
Let me just say one thing to them. Hard luck, because we get enough of it when it's the other way round. So, welcome to our world, Sheffield United fans.
Your point about being 3 points off the playoffs, you're correct, but then so are 6 other teams 3 or less points off the playoffs. I mean, it's fine saying we do this, we that, but to me, it's a terrible division. All teams are as bad as each other, apart from the top couple there. Can you imagine us getting in the playoffs and perhaps succeeding in going up? It'd be a shambles.
Well, funny enough, I can.
Oh, you're joking.
I can. If it clicks in the final third, we don't give anything away. We're a difficult side to beat. We've lost 1 game in 8, and we're calling for our manager's head.
We got no one up front. He's had three or 4 windows to buy someone. The year before Harris went, we needed a new centre forward, and it's been continuous for the past 4 years.
Pat,
no one's been bought. We've got all has-beens there.
If it clicked up front, which it hasn't done so far this season, even though we still
it's not going to click,
lost
is
1
it?
in
We've
8.
got no one up
well,
front.
You don't know. OJ, I thought the best 3 we would have would be the 3 that started against Luton, and it didn't seem to work. So maybe he's got to think
OJ's
again.
too lightweight. As good as he is, he's too lightweight. He's getting pushed around all the time. Hey, Dave,
Well,
let's see
what Dave said,
dominate
Jack.
this.
Yeah. Right, I've got a different view on it, obviously. Luton came to us and did to us what we normally do to any side that comes to the den. They bullied us, they muscled us about, pushed us around, and they got goals. So when we get it back on us, we can't really complain. We were flat, there was no atmosphere, it didn't look like there was any energy in the side. That was Luton. Move forward to Tuesday night at Sheffield, a different game, different team attitude, I thought. We were on them, giving them a typical Millwall performance, pushing them around, bullying them, making them commit to making tackles and doing things that they wouldn't normally do in a game. The referee, yes, I think he was quite kind to us. I mean, it wasn't brilliant, but I think Ted got it spot on with what he said about the referee at Sheffield United. It's one of those things, welcome to our world. We've had referees, I mean, Coventry is a fine example. We had a perfectly decent goal chalked off. And so, yeah, that was my view on the 2 performances.
I'll tell you what I only say this, though, because we had some conversations amongst us after Saturday's defeat when I was trying to say to yourselves or on our WhatsApp group that sometimes you have to look at the players. The biggest disappointment about the Luton game is exactly what you said. It looked like Luton wanted to win the game and wanted the game, and we didn't. We was out fought, and that's one thing as a Millwall fan we'd never like to see. We never like to see our side being bullied or anything like that, and you're quite right, Luton did that to us all throughout the game. Yet, how does a team change from that sort of performance to the one on Tuesday night? Now, the only way I can see that happening is if Gary Rowett gave them the rollicking that they deserved at the end of that game against Luton. Not that they needed much to be spoken about in a changing room. They could hear it when they was walking off the pitch from us. But what I'm saying is, sometimes, as a manager, you can give them what you like before they go out. Once they get across that line, it's up to them. And that's what disappointed me with Luton. We was out-fought by a side that should never be out fighting us, certainly, and we have to be at that level. We have to be at that Sheffield United level every time we go out on a pitch in the Championship, because it makes up for the lack of real quality that we've got. That's how we beat sides like Bournemouth and hopefully Fulham and Bournemouth later on in the season, by being that sort of determinated
you
side
can't
that outfights
distance Rowett from that Saturday performance, whatever you say. The buck stops with manager.
If the buck does stop with him, that's very interesting. It's fascinating listening to you guys as more of a neutral. The question I want to ask is, for the sake of argument, I gave you an ultimatum. You either sack Rowett now, literally the moment we finish recording, you walk into that boardroom and you sack him, or you have to give him at least till the end of the season. What are you doing? Does he stay? Does he go?
Well, to start with, Johnny, if only I had the power. No, look, what I'm trying to say, I mean, Gary Rowett, to a certain extent, you've had 8 games where we've only lost 1 game. So the team's not doing too much wrong, you know. And yes, of course, the side always reflects the manager. And that's why I'm sure Gary Rowett, as he did say after that, he was disappointed with the fact that we got outfought, because that doesn't happen very often against Luton. So, yes, the manager takes a stick when it's not a good performance, but you can't blame him when you look at the way the side played against Sheffield United and have played before that Luton game. Sometimes, and I think it's too easy for players to walk away from the responsibility they have of their own performance. They can just turn around and walk away as if, oh, well, I've had one of them games, and leave the manager to take all the stick. Maybe I'm talking about something that happens within closed doors, because I know if I was Gary Rowett, it wouldn't have only been it'd have been at half time, let alone at the end of the game, which I'm sure he did. But to come back to your question, Johnny, you've got to give him to the end of the season.
Pat, do you agree with Ted?
No.
She never does, Johnny, by the way.
Shut it. Buck stops with him. He buys the players, he picks a team, he picks a formation, he does the substitutions. It's down to Rowett. It's completely down to him. I wouldn't sack him at the end of the programme. I'd say...
Oh, you're agreeing with me, Pat?
No, listen. We played appalling last Saturday. We played quite well on Tuesday. So who's going to turn up come this Saturday? I don't know. I'm sure he don't know. That it may be an epiphany Tuesday night, and we come out and the next few games we're brilliant. So you've got to give him another month. But certainly after that, I'll be questioning why is he still there.
Even if we win in that every game in that month.
Oh well, no,
Sorry.
obviously not.
Well, there you go.
But as I say, there are 6 other teams within 3 points of the playoffs. So it's not a wonderful situation, is it? It's just that everyone's playing as bad as each other.
It's better than being in Derby's position, isn't it?
Well, wouldn't be in Derby's position either.
Or Charlton's. Sorry, I had to get that in, Charlton. Sorry, Charlton.
But if you gave me the ultimatum after the show or end of season, I'd say, yeah, bye.
So Pat isn't having it. Pat's saying, I've had enough of Gary Rowett. Dave, where do you stand on this one?
Well, I'm not happy with Gary Rowett's decision making his substitutes, but I wouldn't sack him because there isn't anybody out there that can really do a job that we can just bring in by snapping our fingers. We're gonna have Adam Barrett taking over again. When he took over from when Neil left, all right, he won against Leeds, but I think Millwall versus Leeds at the Den is always a dot on the card. We're going to win that one. But I'm not overly confident with Adam Barrett either, because Callum Davison, when he was with Gary, they were a different kettle of fish. They won more games. But when Callum left and Adam came in as his number 2, things came down a level, in my view. So I'm not a sack the manager person, but I'll certainly be looking at it if we're not pushing on after Christmas.
Well, lots to think about as far as Rowett's future is concerned. Fans split on it. You'd have thought in the stadium the opinion is going to be quite clear if performances don't improve. We'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren talking about Sands United. But before we do, there will be a regular missing from the Cold Blow Lane end this Saturday. That's because Stan and Annette Godwin will be celebrating 50 years of wedded bliss with their family. Congratulations to you both, and here's to many more happy years together from all the team.
We know that some men can struggle to talk about how they're feeling after the death of a baby. We hope that by building trust and a common bond, by playing together as a team, many more will be able to break their silence about baby loss and help others to do the same. Sands United FC has already saved the lives of men left feeling like they had no one to turn to in their grief. Are you a father who has lost a child? Talk to Sands United. They will help. Contact them on sufclondon@gmail.com. That's sufclondon@gmail.com. They will help.
I'm Johnny Burrow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Dave Hart and Ted Robinson. This Sunday, Sam's United FC journey continues when they face London Underground TFL FC at Tithe Farm Sports and Social Club, Rayners Lane, Harrow. Kickoff is at 1300 hours and entry is a £5 which goes towards the charity. You have to wonder, are London Underground TFL FC going to be on time? Because in my experience in the Northern Line, I'm not actually overly hopeful, but hopefully we will have kickoff at 1300 hours and a great game of football. And on top of that, a great cause as well. So lots to get involved with there. Our first guest hails from Ilford, where he grew up and came through the ranks at Tottenham Hotspur, for whom he made his first team debut at Stamford Bridge in March 1993. Loans followed at Maidstone and Barnet. After making more than a half-century of appearances for Spurs, the man once tipped to replace Gary Mabbutt at White Hart Lane headed to Bermondsey to join Millwall in 1998. The Den was the place where he would make the greatest number of appearances in his footballing career. Between 1998 and 2004, he made 242 appearances for the Lions and scored 10 goals. He also kept the bench warm on a further 23 occasions during quite a golden era for the club. He went on to ply his trade with Wycombe Wanderers and a number of non-league sides, from Woking to Wivenhoe, where he hung up his boots in 2008. After that time, he's managed non-league clubs through to 2021. It is, of course, the one and only Stuart Nethercott. Stuart, great to have you with us.
Yeah, hi guys, you okay? You having a good evening?
Yes, thank you.
Stuart. Yeah, we've all been
hi,
training.
right.
We've all been training.
Yeah, it was good training.
Stuart.
Yeah, the thing is, you got to wrap up a little bit warmer now. It's getting to that little chilly bit now, so yeah, you got to keep warm. Yeah, so 2 pairs of socks, about 5 layers on. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, wouldn't change it. Yeah.
That's what Ted was saying to me. He said when he was running up and down hills earlier to get ready for the show, he was wearing 4 jumpers as well, just to get in the mood. But before
The smallest hills you'll ever come across.
Yes, so I should have specified. But before I let you get to the panel, Stuart, since you left Millwall, do you ever manage to get down to the Den at all?
I haven't. Obviously, I'm very busy on Saturdays myself, so to be honest, I've got to say I've not been down. We're not allowed in one of the seasons, so I am desperately trying to get up for one of the couple of games this season. Hopefully, get up for a midweek game or something like that. But it's very difficult when you're sort of managing a side and we train Tuesday, Thursdays, and obviously we play on the Saturday as well. So it's very, very hard to sort of commit to anything like that. But you know, always the first score that comes to mind. I always look for the scores and see how they're getting on. And yeah, it seems to be what it is at this present time. You know, they win one, sort of lose one, and that's the way they are at this present time. Looks like they're going to have another decent season, probably finishing 8th or 9th, something like that. Will they push for the playoffs? Probably not. But it's keeping the club in that division, which is something probably the manager was told to do at the start of the season.
Hello, Stuart. Dave here. It was seen as a great capture when you came and joined us at Millwall. But can you tell us how that move come about?
I was struggling at Spurs at the time. I needed to get games. Billy Bonds was manager at the time, and Patsy Holland was one of my coaches at Spurs, and he sort of got the ball rolling on that one, and he obviously went on loan, but obviously I dislocated my shoulder playing at Fulham. And then I thought, oh no, the time's done, sort of thing. I've just signed. I've just come here on loan. I've dislocated my shoulder. Spurs want me out, and so I thought, oh right, here we go. But luckily enough, Theo was kind enough to sort of knew what sort of player I was and how I could be for the club, and it worked really well. And I got myself fit, and then I signed a couple of years, and then everything went on from after that, really.
Hello, Stuart. It's Pat here.
Hi, you're right.
Yeah, I'm good. You've played under quite a few different Millwall managers: Bonds,
Yeah.
Stevens, McCleary, McGee,
Yeah.
and Wise. What were they like to play under? Were they very different, and who was your favourite?
Yeah, very different, because obviously the two boys that were the first managers were sort of new to the game, very passionate about the club. It was probably a tough job for them to take. I think they probably needed another 2 or 3 years to sort of get that job, but they were put in at the deep end. With probably not a lot of budget to work with, but had a really good youth setup coming through. Mark was, totally man management. I'll tell you, he was the best that I've worked with in my career. And at Millwall, very, very good man-to-man management, and very good coaches alongside him as well. Dennis, I didn't really get on with Dennis. I think there was a bit of a attitude problem there with him and myself. So I could see myself, I was never going to be playing many games under him, and obviously I got myself out, which I needed to do. He was mates with Tony Adams. Tony Adams was manager at the time at Wickham, so it was the way to go for me, and I was quite happy didn't want to leave, but I think he'd have made it hard for me to stay. So but that's football. Obviously if I see him in the street now, I'll probably shake his hand and things like that, but it wasn't a great relationship that we had, and as I said, I think Mark was the clear winner on that sort of stage.
Right. Cheers.
Stuart, it's Ted here.
Yeah. How are you, mate?
All right, mate. I'm surprised to hear that about Dennis Wise. I thought he got on with everyone. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think it was I think he had to show his authority very early in his career, and I think the way to do it was to get rid of the captain. And that's how I looked at it. And
what you're saying, Stuart, he had little man syndrome. We know that.
I think he probably did as well. I think there's a bit of that going on. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's never worked in football again, really. So that is it. Really don't. That don't surprise me that no clubs have really gone for him. So, but that's that's my opinion. But as I said, it don't surprise me that he hasn't worked in football much after that. So.
Having said that, though, mate, you've a great bunch of players and big characters who played across the back four with you in your time, the likes of Robbie Ryan, Dicey, a proper character. Dave Tuttle, I can't remember Dave Tuttle alongside you. Is that right?
Yeah, they were the lads. We was lucky, to be fair. We them sort of days you didn't really have to have much pace about you, really. It was sort of, you needed centre halves that could really head it and kick it, really. And me and Dicey sort of suited that way, and I think it was the way the Millwall fans liked it as well. I think they really liked the sort of the hard sort of centre backs. They've had the Rhinos, going throughout the years, and they always liked that. And I think once I joined the club, I thought to myself that this is a proper club for me, and the supporters will like the way I play, and obviously Mark brought in, Dicey brought in, and Joe Dolan was coming through the ranks as well, typical young centre half, head and kick it as well, and we had that, and that's what the era was all about, really. You was playing against tough boys, at that sort of stage as well. The centre forwards are tough. They always had a big man, small man up front, and so we had to be our wits to stop that. So I really, me and Dicey were, really, we talk about it now, and we said the partnership was the best that he's had throughout his career, and obviously myself as well. So we were just telepathic. I think if you could see him make a mistake, I'd cover around him, and he'd do the same for me, and great times. Really enjoyed myself playing with Dicey.
I'd love to have seen you two playing it out from the back. Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah, I know. I don't think we could do that. No. I don't think the goalkeeper would give it to us anyway. So
No. What about Scott Fitzgerald and Robbo? Like you play with them as well?
Obviously Scott was sort of injured at the time that I come. Great lad though, around the dressing room. I think he sort of left about 6 months after I come in. But great lad to have around the change room. Again, glad to see he's in the club in some capacity. Obviously, Robbo was one of the ones that was coming through, probably ended up taking my position in the end. So, but Mark Phillips was there coming through as well. So there was a lot of good youngsters coming through. Obviously, Dunny was coming through, but at the time we was in the Championship, these boys were getting sort of minutes in the Championship, and that was where our budget was. We were sort of, and to finish fourth in that first season was just a miracle. How we done that, we do not know, but we still speak now. We're on our WhatsApp chat, and we talk about that Birmingham game a heck of a lot, and obviously the stuff that went on after it, the club didn't really recover after that for the next 2 or 3 seasons. So, but that night, I've not even seen that goal again. I refuse to see it. But to get a draw up at Birmingham and to bring them down here and the atmosphere that was created, and to lose the way we did, it was just heartbreaking for all of us. And as I said, what happened after was what happened really, and obviously the club, as I said, went backwards a little bit after that. But and obviously ITV Digital kicked in as well, so it was all a little bit up in the air in them sort of lower leagues. And but sort of it was a tough time.
Well, Stuart, you must have had some really memorable games with Spurs.
Yeah.
But what was your most memorable game with Millwall?
I really enjoyed the Championship season. I think that we had a couple of Tuesday night games. I think we played West Brom and Wolves, and the atmosphere that was created on them nights, was unbelievable. I think we won both games. I think we got a late penalty. Claridge scored a late penalty on one, and I just remember the atmosphere coming off of that pitch, and the place was absolutely jumping, and it was just one of them nights where if you could bottle that up and just share it with, like if I could share it with the players I'm working with now, and just go, look, have a smell of that, and just think how good a feeling is that. And they are great times. Obviously the Oldham game as well, where we won the title, to play the way we did that day was just phenomenal. We hadn't trained all week. I think we turned up we played Wrexham on the Saturday, got promoted, and then we didn't train again until the Friday. So the boys, that week was a lot of heavy drinking as well. We were meeting up in London and places like that, because we knew we were promoted. And then come Thursday, we said, boys, that's it, no more drinking. We're gonna go and win the title. And to perform the way we did that Sunday was just unbelievable. The goals that went in were just special goals, special players, special team, and that day, my boy was mascot at the time. He was free. He's 23 now. You know what I mean? So it's unbelievable that day. And I do watch that back. That season, I do watch that back a lot. And the lads do a lot of these Twitter things and stuff like that. And what they say about our team, it's all true. And it was an unbelievable team and team spirit that we had going on there. Brilliant.
It was magic. It's Pat again, Stuart. I understand you're quite a superstitious player, or was. Tell us about your famous pre-game rituals. I understand being sick was one of them.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I don't want to go in case someone's eating. You know what I mean? I don't want to go into it too much, but it was something that I'd done and carried on doing and stuff like that. Lads would put their shin pads on the different way and stuff like that, but it was quite. It's one of the funny stories that a lot of the players tell and stuff like that. So So Mark McGee had been giving his last team talk, or saying last 5 minutes with the lads, and all of a sudden, all you can hear is me in the background, and the lads loved it. It was just one of them things. It psyched me up a little bit. Looking back on it now, it's probably the worst thing you can ever do. So, but I've seen videos of the Lions boys on tour with the rugby. I can hear them in the background doing the same sort of thing. So it was a bit of superstition involved, but it was a lot of trying to get rid of a lot of nervous energy as well. And I think that was where I said, but when I told the dietitian this, he weren't happily impressed by that. So, but no, it just felt the way I wanted to do, and that was it really. I did get nervous at certain games, and I just felt I needed to get a bit of nervous energy out. So, that was that. Yeah.
I knew we had something in common, Stuart. I used to do that every Sunday morning before I started playing.
But that was the wife's cooking.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was the 20. It was the 20
points.
beers the night before that normally came up. So.
Yeah. I know, but it did end up as a superstition, really, because you just you did not want to do it. You know what I mean? You're in that stage where you think, I can't not do it now, sort of thing. So that was fine. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I was going to ask you how you celebrated, that season when we won as champions, went up as champions. But I didn't realise you were celebrating before we'd finished the season. But there you go.
Yeah, right, I know. But we got back. Obviously, we was in Wrexham, and we got back. And I don't think we'd done anything on the Saturday. I suppose we had a few drinks on the Saturday. But then we just all met up on the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and just continued it really. But it was what it was, and and that was the spirit.
Guess what, Stuart? Guess what, Stuart? There's something else we have in common, because I was drinking Wrexham game as well.
Yeah. But the thing was, we were fit lads. We were really fit boys. Mark would work us very hard throughout the season, and I think if you see a lot of the scores that we absolutely trounced some teams in it that season, 4s, 5s, but for our hard work and determination and teamwork and whatever, we were fit boys as well. Mark used to put us through our paces regularly on a Monday or a Tuesday. We had young players coming through, Sadlers, Ben Mays, and they want to kick the lumps out of you really on a Monday morning, and you're coming in thinking, bloody hell, I'm hitting 27 here, 28, and I'm stiff as a board, and they're trying to kick me. But it was that's what made this squad. It was a hard squad, and I think talk to Daichi and other people like that, and you try and emulate that dressing room that we had, because I think if you everyone says, that's the best dressing room we've been in throughout our careers. And, you can't match it. I've been to other dressing rooms, and it's nothing like that. And to get a group of guys the way we did, I was one of the older ones. I had a boy at the time, and, obviously all the other ones, they were single lads or had girlfriends, and they were just all going out, and they used to drag me along. And people will say, oh, you're only going out, people's girlfriends would go, you're only going out if Nevers is going out, and I was the bloody worst one out of them all. So it was great. We had great time. Every season we had was a success, and we all flew out to Tenerife a couple of times, Ibiza a couple of times, and you just did not want to get away. And then at the end, you say goodbye, and it was like 6 weeks. Back with your families, back with your girlfriends, and you're back on holiday, and then you were back again for pre-season. So it was just memorable times. It was a fantastic time for the club, and hopefully you look back at it and think, we have got them in a certain position that they are now. I know they've had a couple of relegations and stuff like that, but hopefully we started to get the club back on the map again, and I think that's what it's doing now, and hopefully that's how we see it. We started really from our sort of time, and it has continued on and on with playoff wins, playoff finals, and the success hopefully continues. Where this team will go now, the current side, I don't know. I think it's survival is the main thing, and to add a few players on each season and just see where they go. Yeah.
I think that sounds absolutely spot on to me, Stuart. It's been absolutely glorious to talk to you about some of the things that happened during what was, of course, the golden era for players and fans alike. You talk about it, your and Daishi partnership being your favourite in your career. For a lot of those fans, that is going to be, if you offer them that centre-half partnership till the end of time, they wouldn't have very much to complain about. You played the most professional games of your career with Millwall, of course. Yeah. How would you sum up the fans and that atmosphere at the Den?
Yeah, it was special. I remember playing a reserve game with Spurs, and they were playing at the old Den, and it was like the atmosphere was just like phenomenal for a reserve game. I thought, this is one good club. And a lot of people said to me at the time when I moved from Spurs, they said to me, "What are you going over there for?" It's like they're in League One, 2 leagues where you've been used to playing. The crowds were not great. New stadium, I think that was the pool. There was a new stadium, but I just felt at the time it was going places, and I just felt it needed a little bit of luck, a little bit of to get the fans back on their side. I think the fans were against the board, they were against the players, and then all of a sudden there's a new fresh wave of talent comes through the youth team. Will that happen ever again? I don't think that's ever going to happen again at the club. They might nick 2 or 3 out of there, but to nick 5 or 6 or 7, and what we had in that team was extra special. And to nick a striker from non-league football, Neil Harris, he becomes the all-time top goal scorer. It's an unbelievable story, really, and the fans were a big part of that. For us. For ourselves to play in front of full houses there, is something very special, and I think it's a special place to hear them fans jumping, especially midweek games. Midweek games are very, very special, and they always knew how to put a show on, the fans, and they made it. I remember a Man City side coming here. Joe Royle brought a side down here, and he didn't like it at all, what was happening behind him in his dugout. So it was good. But he was an experienced manager, Joe Royle. And I remember him in the press. He said, "What a horrible place that was to come to." You know what I mean? And I think his team thought was probably, "You don't want to come here again, lads, do you?" And then they marched on to go and win the title that season. We held them 1-1 that day, and I remember the crowd was jumping again, and it was hostile. It was what it was all about, and you were just glad that they were on your side, really.
Yeah, well, that is exactly it. A great atmosphere, of course, still to this day. Hoping that the fans are going to be up at the weekend as well. In keeping with tradition, can I press you for a score prediction? Millwall versus Stoke City.
Yeah, Stoke's a funny side at the moment. They're similar to us, aren't they? They're a bit of a win one, lose one club. I'm going for a 2-1 win. I'll go 2-1. Yeah, definitely.
Nice. You know what? That is more positivity than we've had on the whole rest of the show put together. So
really?
You know what we're like.
It's a good win in the week. Great win in the week. And they've got to follow that up. It's no point beating Sheffield United and then losing to Stoke. And I don't know what Stoke are like this season, but that is something they've got to do. They've got to start getting a run together, and I think if they can get a run together, then who knows where that can take you. It's a funny league, this one. Everyone beats each other, and no one can predict the score in the Championship. It's tough. It's very, very tough.
Yeah, go and carry on with your training, Stuart, and have a pint.
Glorious to chat to you, Stuart. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, excellent. Love it. Thank you.
Cheers, Stuart.
Cheers. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Cheers. Bye.
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 Fantastic chatting to Stuart Nethercott there. Lots of glorious memories from his time at the club and that era as a whole, really. We'll take a break there and listen to Debbie Julians and Harvey Brown talking Lions Food Hub.
First of all, let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? It is now located in the Millwall Community Trust car park. That's beside Millwall's Den in Ballina Road. That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help. the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need support, and you can help if you can by making a one-off or a regular monetary donation online at Banquet, that is BANKUET. Or on a Saturday, you should make donations pre-match at the hub, about 50 metres down from the Lions store. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via their Twitter and Facebook sites.
I'm Johnny Burrow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Dave Hart and Ted Robinson. As things get tighter for families, with prices increasing, energy and food poverty will increase, but your kindness will be most appreciated and lessen the burden on those at risk. Next up, we hear from Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall!
Always lovely to hear from Ellis. Millwall Romans, by the way, were at a non-league tournament in West London. Let's hear what happened when Eamon caught up with Paul Loding and find out what else is coming up next for both the Romans and Pride.
Hi Paul, how did it go at the weekend, the non-league tournament for you guys?
Hi Eamon. Yeah, we had a bit of a mixed team out on Saturday for the annual Titans tournament. It was a bit disjointed, and we didn't win the tournament, put it like that. And I don't know if there's much else I can say about it, to be honest. But it was a good day out, it was a good run out, and we got some new players involved, which is what it's all about.
Now I understand that both of you are down at St Paul's Sports Ground in Rotherhithe this weekend. I think it's the Romans up first, and then Pride follows. What's happening?
This weekend, both teams are in action. The Romans team kick off at 1:30 at St Paul's against a team called Stoke FC. They're a really strong team, Stokey. They've got some very good players, probably going to be challenging for the title. So it's going to be quite a good battle down there at St Paul's. And then at 3:30, the Pride team kick off against Stonewall Thirds FC. Stonewall Thirds FC beats the Romans team at one of the first games of the season when we played them away. So again, they're going to be quite strong. I think the Romans team, this Pride team, are looking good. Though, to be fair, they're starting to gel well together, and of course we'll be watching the game to cheer them on.
Sounds like it'll be a busy day on Sunday afternoon in Rotherhithe. But before that, Millwall play at home to Stoke City this Saturday. Can you give us a prediction for that game?
Well, for a good win on Tuesday night up in Sheffield, I'm going to say that Millwall are going to keep a clean sheet and also nick a couple of goals. So let's do 2-0 Millwall.
Thanks, Paul. Great to speak to you as always.
Always good to hear from our very own Eamon there. And the Lionesses made it 4 wins on the spin by defeating Denham United at Uxbridge on Sunday. And Chloe Burr was on the score sheet once again. Here's Chloe's reaction to their form and her goal scoring, talking to Jeff Burnige.
Well, we're interviewing Chloe Burr of the Lionesses this evening. Chloe has been with the club previously when we were playing in the WSL2. She's now back, and I'm going to ask her how she feels the last 2 games have gone under the new manager.
The last 2 games have gone really well under the new management. It's, as you can see from the results, obviously I've also bagged 4 goals in the last 2 games, which is obviously something that's the reason why I've come back to score some goals, get my confidence back. Jack's a great manager, and his training sessions and stuff are evident and where he wants the club to go.
Do you consider yourself a striker, or would you say you're more of a midfielder?
Well, I've played in every position probably on the pitch, so I don't really mind where I play, but yeah, forwards in the top 3 if you're playing 4-3-3, obviously formation. But yeah, as I said, I don't really mind where I play.
What did you think of the performance of the team at Denham on Sunday?
I think the first half we performed really well as a team. We put in the work and obviously got 2 goals first half. Second half we slacked off a little bit. I think obviously fitness got the better of us, but we still kept our heads and we still came out with a win.
And this week, the FA Cup, home to Fleet. You must be looking forward to playing in that.
Yeah, excited to play obviously in FA Cup games. Try to push on and get as far as we can in the FA Cup will be amazing. Yeah, hopefully score a few more goals.
Thanks, Chloe. We're going to preview that match later in the week. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Well, roving reporter Jeff Burnige was all over the shop because he was in attendance at Denham. He spoke to Chloe and he also managed to file the following report.
The Lionesses enjoyed their 4th straight win last Sunday, the last 2 of those under new manager Jack Wheeler. This match at Denham United in West London ended 2-1 to the Lionesses. Chrissy Wiggins was making her second appearance in goal since signing from Fulham, and there were also debuts for Millie Penfold and Sophie Chapman in midfield. We were well on top in the first half and led 2-0 with goals from Maisie Joyce and top scorer Chloe Burr. Denham improved after the break, but Chrissy Wiggins was rarely troubled in goal. The manager brought on the returning Maya Graham at centre-back late on, and the Lionesses saw the game out quite comfortably. A great win took us up to the middle of the table. Looking forward to this coming Sunday's FA Cup tie with Fleet Town. The match has been switched to Meridian Sports and Social Club, Charlton Park Lane, Charlton SE7, due to the unavailability of St Paul's. New manager Jack Wheeler will be focused on making it 3 wins out of 3 since his appointment, and it will be great for the Lionesses to get back into the later stages of the Women's FA Cup.
Sprightly reporting, as ever, from Jeff Burnige, and great to hear how the Lionesses are getting on, that improving form, and the thought is that Chloe Burr will lessen the disappointment of losing prolific scorer Abby Dell. What do we reckon, folks? The Romans and, of course, the Lionesses both seem to be in a pretty good place.
Okay, I'll go first. The Lionesses sitting mid-table with 9 points, plus a game in hand. They're looking good. 4 wins in 4. Perhaps Jack Wheeler would like to come and manage the men's team.
Now, Pat. Now.
No, they're doing pretty well, and I'd like to get along and see them one day. As for the Romans, I'll be down there Sunday. I'll be doing all their team photos before the game, so I look forward to that one.
Yeah, I mean, both sides, of all the sides, the Romans Pride and the Lionesses, they seem to be gained in their full shape now. You know, we spoke about the Lionesses, Johnny, quite at the sort of start of the season, saying they were a young team, and obviously things have changed from last year. They've also changed with the manager, but they seem to be developing themselves as a team, if you know what I mean. And the recent performances are showing that. You know, I still think there's a little bit more to come. I think they're growing. They're a young side. But let's hope they continue to put performances in. It'd be great to start with on Sunday. Is it Sunday when they're playing the FA Cup? That would be great if they could get through that, have a good run in that. But no, I mean, listen, all Millwall teams are doing well at the moment.
Yeah, you're right, Ted. They are actually taking a step forward. We try and get down and watch the Lionesses whenever we can, but we haven't been this season through unknown reasons, but we certainly will be returning down there because it's always nice to get out on a Sunday and watch and support our Millwall Lionesses. I haven't had a chance to see the Romans, but that's another one we should put on our calendar to try and get down to. So let's just hope that things move forward and the manager stays where he is.
Yeah, with form like that, you've got to hope they can hang on to him. I'm sure they will. And as far as the original Millwall are concerned, of course, we face Stoke at the Den this weekend. And unfortunately, Henry Stato Morgan remains bereft of IT and is unable to bring us a preview this week. However, here are my thoughts. Going into this one, we haven't lost in the league to Stoke City in our previous 5 matches, and Stoke are without an away league win in the past 4 away games. We will be without George Saville due to his yellow card record, but there are other players who can slot into that role. Stoke, meanwhile, have quite a few injuries, and in particular, they're going to be missing Tashan Oakley-Booth with a back injury and Tyrese Campbell, usually a danger, with a knee injury. The independent view is that Stoke City and Millwall probably both going to find scoring goals difficult, and many are backing a 0-0 draw. Goals have been an issue for us of late. Until Tuesday, it had been 7 championship games since we last scored more than 1, which suggests we may have problems ending that run on Saturday. Nevertheless, we've got a mean defence, but what do we reckon? Ted, earlier you were saying if we can sort things out in that final third at the top end of the pitch and get those goals flowing, there's no reason why promotion couldn't be a possibility. If the attacking goes well against Stoke, is this a game we win?
Yeah, I think so, Johnny. I mean, I'm always confident when it comes up against sides like Stoke, who are, maybe the worst thing about the Luton game is we all probably expected Millwall to win. But when we come up against a side like Stoke and we know it's going to be a battle, we tend to sort of raise our games. I'll be really interested to see how Gary Rowett sets up. I mean, I would actually like us to go back to a 4-4-2 for this game, but I'm not sure it'll happen. Because also missing from our side on Saturday is Benik Afobe, because he's actually on loan from us, on loan to us from Stoke. So,
of course, yeah.
So that sort of not limited, but I mean, Tom Bradshaw again, not one of Pat's favourites, but he runs his heart out. He's due a goal somewhere along the line, I'm sure. But that's why I would say I wouldn't mind a 4-4-2, because Mason Bennett I think should come back into the team, because I do like Mason Bennett. I would go with Bradshaw and Smith up front, put Jed out wider again, perhaps bring Leonard into midfield for Saville, and just stick with the back four. I think if we can, because they, by the way, they have lost Nick Powell as well, who's their main goal scorer, I believe. Stoke, he got injured the other night. So I think it's a sort of game where we need what our class is a typical Millwall game, an up and at 'em and in their face sort of game with Stoke. I'm not sure that Gary would do that. I think he'd probably stick with his formation that he's gone with. But I'd like to see him change it, because I think they would expect us to go with a back three. So maybe it might, and that change that I'm talking about may make a bit of a difference and catch them out. But all in all, I quite liked, I think it was Paul Loding that said Millwall 2, Stoke 0, and I think I'll go with him with that.
Yeah, I think Ted was right. Ted was right with saying about Nick Powell, their midfielder. He's quite dangerous. He's going to be out for 8 weeks. And when it comes to a team like Stoke, as Ted said, we do tend to up our game a bit. So I think I'd go along with Ted and Paul Loding and say 2-0.
I'm going to go with the majority and say 0-0. I can't see any goals from anywhere. I don't know. Michael O'Neill said in his conference today that Millwall have got to stop them playing. I mean, we're at home. We're Millwall. Why do we have to stop the away team playing? We should be the ones they stop. It's because we're getting that reputation. He's playing 5 at the back at home. It's just not the Millwall way. We've got to do something this Saturday. We've got to carry on the momentum from Tuesday night. I hope he does it. I don't think he will. So I'm going with a generous 0-0.
I'll tell you what, though, Pat. I'm sorry, Johnny. I was just going to say.
No, Ted, go for it.
Pat's saying she
go for
can't
it
see
or
a
go
goal.
for her.
No, you're saying
possibly both.
No, seriously. I was just thinking. You're saying there that you can't see a goal coming from anywhere. Did anyone anywhere see that goal coming from Jake Cooper the other night? Because
I don't think Jake Cooper see it coming.
No, I mean, but what I'm saying is football's a strange game. Everyone would probably look at the two sides and say 0-0 all over it. It's more than likely it could be a 4-3. You know what I mean? It's football. It is football.
I'd love it to be a 4-3. That crowd down the end deserves to cheer something.
Well, what I will say, Pat, and you'll like this because I know I'll upset Stan with this one, because there's no doubt about it in my mind. Whatever you think of this guy, we always look 10 times more dangerous and actually look like scoring a goal when Matt Smith is out on the pitch. He comes on. If you look at the Luton game, as rubbish as we was, Matt Smith got an header on target that the keeper made a good save from. All the things that we'd done that looked like scoring was when Matt Smith was on the pitch. Now
I agree with you about Smith, but how can you
I-
go for the playoffs with a player who can only play for 30 minutes?
No, Pat, you've got to use him in. You've got to use him in the right way and what he's out there for. He's not a modern day centre forward. Look at the way that Bradshaw played the other night. You could never get Smith to play like that because Bradshaw. What he doesn't get credit for, Bradshaw, is he makes defenders make mistakes and gets us up the pitch. If it's just a defender knocking the ball out for a throw-in, because Bradshaw's
so
pressuring.
poor. He might have run around all he liked on Tuesday, but he was a poor player.
But you've never seen what he actually does in the game, Pat. I mean, you class him as a striker, rightly so, and he's going. I won't go into that. But what I'm saying, you can't play a game of football with Matt Smith trying to do that. Matt Smith is in the box, get it to him in the air, and he will score your goals. And that is where we look like our most dangerous. So that's why I would like to see a 4-4-2, but I doubt very much that Gary Rowett will go to that.
Well, we'll see.
There's not masses of positivity, but I think, it's one of them where if you can get that scrappy goal, particularly if you get a scrappy goal early, Stoke without Tyrese Campbell, there is a chance. There is every chance, in fact. So let's hope, at the very least, for a performance. We will take a break there and hear what fantastic fanatics can do with a little bit of help from ourselves. That's all of us.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm Johnny Burrow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Dave Hart and Ted Robinson. With Christmas coming, why not spend through the Fantastic Fanatics site and give a Yuletide bonus to the Millwall Community Trust? Our next guest tonight said, ahead of Millwall's trip to Sheffield United on Tuesday, always had a soft spot for Bramall Lane. My first long-distance away trip back in 1987 when Kevin O'Callaghan scored a late winner in a 2-1 win. Same result to celebrate Callie's 60th birthday would be nice. And I'll add our own birthday girl too, Bethany Warren. What a prediction. 2 happy birthdays splendidly came to pass, as that was, of course, the result. He's more of a person who recalls the past than a clairvoyant. When reflecting upon Millwall Football Club going into the second half of the 1990s, desperate to join the new cash-rich elite in the Premier League, he wrote another Millwall book, The South Bermondsey Homesick Blues, which tells the story of Millwall's journey through the final 5 years of the 1990s, and, as usual, it was an eventful one. Let's welcome the one and only Merv Payne to the studio.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Evening, Merv.
Evening, Merv.
Evening.
Hi, Merv.
Hi.
Hi, Merv. Great to have you with us. Before I let you off to the team, I noticed that you got that most famous of Millwall midfielders, Alex Ray, to provide the foreword. You've written 5 Millwall football books now. Is it an easy task to get ex-players to write a foreword?
I would say it varies quite a bit. Some of them, I think with the ones like Alex, for example, was very active on Twitter, social media. More and more of the older ones are on Facebook and things like that. And when that happens, obviously it's easy to get in touch with them. And when you do, sometimes they're quite happy to come on and chat, and other times they're perhaps not so keen. And there are certain ones, only a few that perhaps don't want to talk about stuff or speak to you, and others that are only too happy to. But yeah, mostly they're more than happy. I had Dorsey did the forward for the first part, the After the Lord Show book. He was great to talk to, and similarly Alex, who again was, I think, a main character or main player in Millwall's sort of 90s, even though he left after the 95-96 season. But he had lots of good stories to tell, not just about his Millwall time, but about his football experiences in general. When he started off in Scotland. So it's nice to get a sort of a rounded story off them rather than just the Millwall times as well. But yeah, on the whole, they're quite easy to get hold of and to chat to.
Hi Merv, Dave here. As a
Hi,
reader
Dave.
of your books, I have found them gripping memory joggers, revealing and easy to read. Now, your background was journalism and has now evolved to IT websites. I'm writing 5 books, self-publishing and now publishing for other people. How have you managed to get 5 books written and published since 2018 and do what you do?
Simple answer to that is because I love doing it. It's a passion of mine. Ever since I was a kid, I've loved reading books, and I'm a bit of a book nerd, to be honest. I love everything about them, the way they're designed. I mean, I had a publishing background, was really my first job, and to be honest, writing has always been more of a hobby than a job to me. And yeah, I got the opportunity to do my first one back in 2018, and it took me about 10 years, to be honest, to actually get into the actual way of actually writing a book and the discipline of it. But once I did, it sort of come quite easy, and people will say, "Oh, how do you manage to write a book?" And it's something I do in my downtime. It's something at the weekends, and I'm self-employed as well, and it can be a bit much sometimes, just working solidly all the time, sort of through the week. So in my downtime, I'll read, and now I start writing, and it's a nice way. I mean, to be honest, the latest 2 books have both been lockdown projects, so work went fairly quiet for a spell during the first lockdown, so I was able to shut myself in my little office at home, surround myself with old Millwall programmes and YouTube clips, and it became a really nice escape. And I like to sort of base my style on another much more accomplished Millwall author, Jim Murray, who did obviously The Lions of the South, which, in my opinion, obviously we're biased, but I think his book is probably, must be one of the best books written about a complete football club's history ever, really. And it's something I go back to time and time again. The way he writes it is just brilliant. The way it reads so easily, and it's so informative without being bogged down with stats and facts. And the only flaw in it is that it ends at the most exciting time, sort of, for Millwall Football Club, which is the end of the 86-87 season, the summer of '87, when we bought the players in that got us promotion to the First Division for the first time. So I was sort of waiting for him to do a new edition, update it, and turns out, I know various people have spoken to him, it turns out it's not going to happen. So I wouldn't say I decided to continue it, but I just thought I'd fill in the gaps, as it were, from the summer of '87 on from there, and that's what I've done. But yeah, the simple answer to that is I love doing it, and I think when you like doing something, it comes fairly easy, I think.
Fantastic.
Pat here, Merv. Living in
Hi.
Manchester, following Millwall was because your dad did, despite growing up in Balham, not really Millwall territory. Your resilience in supporting Millwall over all these years is most admirable. Is your desire to follow the Lions as strong today as it was? If so, what do you put that down to? Or if not, why not?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely as strong, if not, I think stronger. I think quite a few Millwall supporters have perhaps moved away for one reason or another, and I'm always fascinated how many I see on my travels that are sort of based well away, certainly in the Manchester area. And yeah, I think, I don't know, I mean, for me, the minute my dad took me when I was 7, that was it. I mean, a lot of people will say that, especially in that era, the 70s and the 80s, because it wasn't like it is today. It wasn't so freely available on television. You had to go and watch it, and it's just once you've got the bug, that's it. And the fact that the youngest son is really into them as well. We were both at Bramall Lane on Tuesday and really enjoyed it. And obviously, it's harder and more expensive to get to many games, but yeah, I mean, I've never ever. There's the excitement of going to a match and being there never wanes for me, and that sort of buzz you get on a Saturday morning when it's match day and that sort of thing. It never ever goes away. And other things take priority as you get older. Things like family and work and stuff like that. But there's always that buzz. It never goes away. It never lessens. And the Balham thing, basically half my family, all my mum's side were Chelsea, all my dad's side were Millwall. My dad was brought up in Camberwell and Peckham, and my mum brought up in Battersea and Fulham around there. And they just, when they got married, got a flat in Balham, and it was sort of like halfway between the two. But it was never more than a quick little train ride down to Queen's Road, Peckham, on a Saturday afternoon to go to Millwall. And thankfully, my dad got there before my mum's family did, and I was Millwall rather than Chelsea. So, thank the football gods for that one.
Yeah.
Hiya, Merv. Ted here. Is book number 6 on a mind map or more, and is it possible to maintain the enthusiasm to produce more Millwall books?
That's a good question. Yeah, definitely. I think more important than the enthusiasm is perhaps the interest that people have in reading them. And I've often said, sort of publicly and to myself, that if the minute people perhaps appear a bit bored by it all or not interested, then I'll stop. But the decision to do another book after I did Ordinary Boys, which was my third one about the 1979 FA Youth Cup winning team, was I had to have a good look at the 90s first and think, well, is there a story in there? Is it worth writing? Because as I think I mentioned in both of them, there were a lot of clubs went through the 90s and didn't really do anything. And with a lot of football clubs, that's the case. Nothing really happens, and you couldn't really write a book about perhaps having a good cup run one year and having 4 or 5 humdrum seasons in mid-table. But as you know full well with Millwall, nothing's ever really dull. Yeah. We very, very rarely have a humdrum season where nothing happens, whether it's on the pitch or off the pitch. And obviously the memories for me were still quite fresh of the 90s, and it was a pretty remarkable sort of decade for the club, considering we didn't actually win a promotion within that 10 years. The stuff that went on was quite remarkable. And I think the key thing being the way the game itself changed with the advent of the Premier League, and more clubs were finding the necessity to either upgrade the stadiums quite dramatically after the Hillsborough report, and obviously move stadium altogether. And again, obviously I'm biased, but I think for Millwall, leaving the Den or moving to a new stadium was probably way more of a wrench than for many of the other teams, other clubs, because the Den was such a ground so steeped in folklore, really. So yeah, there was a good story to tell, I thought, and I think it will continue into the 2000s, as you know, with what went on there. So, but yeah, it's definitely well in production. The next one, I think it needs to be said, needs to be told.
Great.
Thanks for joining us this evening, Merv. All the best with your new book, The South Bermondsey Homesick Blues. Is that a Bob Dylan reference, by the way?
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. Sometimes the title of the book is the hardest thing to come across sometimes, but yeah, it just came to me, and yeah, it seemed to work. I think the homesick thing mainly being tied into the leaving of the Den and things not going too well once we moved stadium. But yeah, it definitely is a nod to Bob Dylan's track.
The South Bermondsey Homesick Blues, part 2 of the 1990 story, of course, being told there, being the follow-up to After the Lord Mayor's Show. Now, before you go, please can we have a prediction for our game against Stoke this Saturday?
This week, Stoke, off the back of 2 defeats, but they've had a good start to the season. Could be a tough one, but I'm going to stick my neck out and say that we'll sneak it 1-0.
Before we say goodbye to Merv, just a point. Phil Coleman, who's part of our monthly podcast team, will be asking a question in November's show. The person with the winning answer will receive a signed copy of Merv's latest offering. Don't miss that. Thanks again, Merv, and all the best to you and yours. Until the next time, bye for now.
Bye, Merv.
Cheers,
Merv.
Merv.
Thank you.
Thanks,
a lot.
Merv. Talk again.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us, Merv. We'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren describing a most helpful app for the blind and those with low sight.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall Lionesses have partnered with international smartphone application Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes is an application that truly benefits the poor of sight and the blind, but is supported by those of us that can see.
You might wonder how blind people deal with everyday challenges. Well, normally the answer is simple. We're not that different from you. play music. We go to school. We go to work. You get the picture. But sometimes the simplest things can be difficult, and we need a pair of eyes.
Connect to first available number.
That's where you come in.
Establishing video connection.
Through your smartphone, Be My Eyes connects the blind with sighted people through a live video connection. Simply choose if you need help or want to help by the click of a button.
That's a nice picture of you and your family, Caroline. Is it for a present? Yes, it's a photo from my parents.
You can help just by installing the Be My Eyes app.
Print image.
And we'll notify you when someone needs your help. And if you're in the middle of something, don't worry. Someone else will step in. So, would you care to be my eyes?
Download the app onto your smartphone now and help those that need your eyes straight away.
I'm Johnny Burrow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Dave Hart and Ted Robinson. Can you imagine, if you were blind, the difficulty involved in selecting a shade of blue to match Millwall's kit? Why not get the app and help the blind and poorly sighted to make those decisions? Now, people continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus, all as a consequence of suffering with it. As deaths increase and infections continue, high numbers are, of course, being hospitalised too. Our thoughts go out to their families, friends, and those that take care of them. Additionally, please respect the requirements on transport and other locations in reducing the risk of infection to minimise the possibility of further lockdowns. They're starting to whispering about more of that, so wear those masks. Also, be accepting of the preference of individuals in how they protect themselves.
First off, what about sponsoring a player? Enjoying a great executive lounge VIP package with family and or friends, or just getting behind the club in a number of different ways, and that includes business propositions from advertising to sponsorship. Just contact the lovely Andrew Stead, or that's what Pat Maslin calls him, in the commercial department to find out more. The Lion Roars magazine has not hit the streets yet. Editor-in-Chief Aisha Smith has not been very well, and we wish her a good recovery. We will let you know when the magazine will appear. That's good night from me.
And next week, James is back for his final show on Friday at 8 p.m. to host another Orchid Between Two Creeping Ivies with Bethany Warren, Ted Robinson and Henry Morgan. From Creeping Ivy to Game Changers, the Proper Blokes Club continues to amass an incredible following, and their walks take on some fantastic strolls. Come along, as you may have heard last week, and join Scott Johnson, the leader in breaking the stigma of men's mental health on any of the walk and talk groups. And there are many from familiar locations. Just check out the Proper Blokes Club on Twitter and Facebook for arrangements. That's good night from me.
Oh, I've never been called Creeping Ivy before, but anyway.
I thought you was the Orchid.
Oh dear. Don't forget, player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available this season. Why not share the burden between a few of you or even a couple of companies? If you can give them some added support, you can find details on their website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you'll find them easily enough. Lastly, the Lionesses are still recruiting at the moment. If anyone is interested in coming down to St Paul's Salter Road Rotherhithe, please email recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com. I'll repeat that, recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com, or direct message either their Twitter account or Instagram account, Millwall_LFC. And don't forget, Millwall Romans and Pride need you too. Go along on Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. to St Paul's Sports Ground and introduce yourself to player and manager Paul Loding to find out about joining them. And it's good night for me.
Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team bring reports from our games, both home and away, and updates on Millwall Community Matters too on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Also, why not listen to the second of the new Millwall No One Likes Us Talking monthly podcast featuring former player Phil Coleman. Links are on our Facebook and Twitter social media sites and all popular podcast sites. That's it from me. Thanks, Patricia, Dave and Ted. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night.